Welcome to the pool cleaning advice line. So let me show you what you need to do. For general stuff in the pool, you can just use the net. It does go a certain way round, but you'll probably be able to tell which way round it goes, and you can basically use it to fish out leaves and stuff from the pool. But this pole is multi-functioning, so we disconnect, you squeeze the white buttons there and disconnect the filter, or the net I should say. And what we need to do is to attach one of the items in here. So this is the vacuum head, and we also need to take out the vacuum pipe as well. Yeah. So first thing we do is try not to fall over. Attach the vacuum head to the pole, and then attach one end of the pipe to the vacuum head. And then what I generally do is drop that into the pool. Now whilst it's down like this, it's a good time to extend out the pole. So twist the pole, lift it up a bit, and then lock it into place just to give you a bit more reach. And then basically you don't want any water in the vacuum hose itself. Yeah. So what I tend to do is to, whilst holding the pole, without losing it, often this is a good two-person job, you lower the hose into the pool like this, so that the water is filling up into the pole. It's not critical if a little bit of air gets into it, but you want to try and minimize the amount of air that you put into the filter system. So keep feeding into the pool until it's completely filled up with water, like so. And then from here, what we do is we remove the skimmer lid. Now the basket, you need to turn 90 degrees usually. You'll notice there's a flat part where it needs to get past the locks either side. So just twist it until you can remove it, and you'll see one sort of entry to the filter pipe down the bottom there. So you just feed it through past the skimmer and then into the hole, and that's ready to go. So what we now need to do is to turn on the filter, or the water pump itself, and you basically, the thing is on a timer. So if you lift up this timer, you'll notice at the top there's a switch, top right. Top is on permanently, bottom is off permanently, and there's like a clock in the middle. So depending on when you're doing this, so it's off at the moment because it's on timer, what you do is you press it onto the up position, and then the pump will start working. Now if we go too far, you need to turn off the shallow skimmer. You'll notice them marked up. So we've just plugged that pipe into the deep end skimmer. Leave that one on full, turn off the shallow skimmer, and turn the bottom main drain round partial, just about halfway round. And now we're ready to go. So what we can now do is slowly vacuum over. You'll see the algae that sort of collects in different places. So you can see there's a big lump of algae right there, dried algae. well, it's not dry because it's the bottom of the pool, but it's basically dead algae that collects at the bottom of the pool. The chlorine kills the algae to keep the water nice and clear, and then it just basically collects at the bottom of the pool. So what I try and do on a sort of every 3 or 4 days, or whatever, when you think it's sort of is needed, you just basically go around the pool. You can hoover up leaves. Sometimes the leaves do, if it's a big leaf, it can get stuck. So I try not to do the big leaves. I try and use the net to remove the big leaves. But small leaves are fine. They will just go straight through the pipe and into the filter. So you just keep slowly moving around. If you go too fast, you disturb all of the dead algae, and it sort of goes back into the water. So if you go slowly, it gives the vacuum head an opportunity to suck it up. So, but you'll notice there are areas in the pool that it collects more the dead algae than others. That's, so I'll finish doing a couple of these bits, but you'll probably just want to do it whenever you notice the pool's looking a bit rubby. You might notice there are some brown bits where there's a little bit of algae. What you can do is get the brush attachment for this pole, and you can just sort of give it a quick scrub just to sort of loosen off any algae that's attached to the surface. Once the algae become unattached from either the floor or the wall, then the chlorine will kill it effectively, and then you can hoover it up. But, there we go, that will do. Now obviously when you do finish, once you've finished, and this was just a very quick hoover, usually I spend, I don't know, 10-15 minutes hoovering the pool. Once you're finished, leave the pool head, the hoover attachment submerged, obviously, because you don't want to start drawing any air in, and you basically switch it. So you switch it back onto the timer. So you can see here, button there, and then we put it back onto timer, and then that will come on at the usual time. And now the pump is off, you can now disconnect the pipe, roll it back up, and what I tend to do before you take the pole out of the water, just to twist it back round and reduce it back down to size. The other thing to bear in mind is we need to keep chlorine levels, so you always want 1 or 2 pucks of chlorine in the skimmers. There's one and a very small bit there, so what I'll do is there's a bucket over here just under the plug socket. I'll find a whole load of chlorine pucks in here, so I'll just make sure there's sort of 1 to 2 maximum in each of the 2 skimmers. Sometimes leaves collect in there, so before you put the pucks in, just empty out the skimmer baskets just to make sure it's clear and the water flows through. The other really important thing is to keep the water level at sort of optimum height, because if the water level drops down too far, the water doesn't go into the skimmers and then the water doesn't get filtered correctly. So the way to determine the water level is, if you look at the skimmer, the water level needs to be halfway up the face. So that is about ideal where it is now. So if it does drop down, obviously it starts drawing air into the system because there's not enough water going in, and that causes a load of problems. So we just make sure you top it up with the hose pipe. You can just control which one comes on from the tap there. There's a multi-port control, and generally we sort of put it on full for about half an hour and then check to see what it's at that point. But you know, you might need to do that sort of once a week, just to sort of keep an eye on the water level, and that should be it. So thank you for looking after the pool. Hope you enjoy it, and see you soon.
Good luck.